Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m, I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for Tuesday, the 2nd of September 2025. We have received an apology from Councillor Leanne Patrick. Can I have a move of that apology be? Thank you. Move Councillor Holzheimer, second to Councillor Churchill. The apology be accepted. All in favour? That's carried. We have previously resolved an apology or a leave of absence for Councillor Davis, who is attending the Australian Cruise Association conference in her role as the council-appointed director on the Gladstone Area Promotion Development Limited, which is very timely considering they're doing a deputation this morning, so we'll get to that very shortly. The next item on the agenda, councillors, is messages of condolence. Do we have any messages of condolence? No messages of condolence. I'll move to the next item, which is prior notifications of conflicts of interest, and I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to declare a declarable conflict of interest in relation to today's deputation, which is G.3, item in the agenda, the Gladstone Area Promotion and Development Limited deputation, because I am co-founder and chair of Strong Communities Limited, which has a service agreement with GAPDL to deliver services for children and families in our region. And I will leave the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Tanya, do we have any other prior notifications or conflicts of interest?
No prior notifications, Mayor.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, no further conflicts of interest. I'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Mayor's statement on current issues, and I'll start with some of the events that have happened in the region. Of course, we had the 31st Golding Showcase at the Gladstone Regional Art Gallery Museum. What a fantastic event that was, and it was so good to see the next generation artwork on display at our gallery museum. They really are some talented artists in the Gladstone region. Well done to all. The GPC Port to Park Fun Run, of course, was held on the Sunday the 24th. I survived the 10 kilometre, which is very nice to know. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McClintock, who did it in record-breaking time. Well done. And thank you all councillors for attending and also manning the water stationing in Doon Street. It was very welcome, just with a few hundred metres to go, I can tell you now. Our Community Investment Roadshow is well and truly underway, and well done to the team getting out there and letting people know what's happening and how they can access council's grants and investment programs as well. We had the Mount Larkham Community Forum on Saturday just gone, and thank you, Councillor Cameron, for attending that with me as well. The first Five Forever World Science Festival was a huge success at the Gladstone Entertainment Convention Centre. The Women's Health and Wellbeing Expo at Phillip Street, thank you, councillors, for attending that one as well. And of course, the Polar Plunge. Well done, Councillor Holzheimer, for attending that event as well. That was for the Special Olympics. You didn't go in? Oh, I take that all back.
I had been unwell, but I did champion them all.
I know, you were leading the cause. I thought you run in the water. Yes, I know that. That's why, well, congratulations for organising it. Next year, I think, why don't you just participate as well?
Yeah, good. Can you do it during summer?
I'll send you some. I did send you some money. Donation.
Excellent. Well done for that. That's a fantastic event, and well done for everything that you organised for the Special Olympics in Gladstone. Coming up in the Gladstone region, we have 10 years of LNG for Santos GLNG celebrating on Thursday. Well done to the team and for all the investment they've included in our Gladstone region. For so long, of course, major sponsors of the Santos GLNG Mayor's Carols and the Mayor's Charity Ball as well. We thank them for being awesome community partners and great corporate citizens. Inspector Darren Somerville will retire officially from the Gladstone Police Force on Friday the 5th. We want to thank Darren for his involvement in our local disaster management group and for leading, of course, the Gladstone Police Force for so long, and for his police service. Thank you. Former police officer correcting me there. No longer force, it's a service. And what a great service he has provided to our local community. Thank you, Darren. We look forward to congratulating you and wishing you all the well in your retirement on Friday. Beach Art Music is back at Millennium Esplanade on Saturday the 6th. The Gladstone Barbecue Festival also at Tatham Sands at Dennis Park on Sunday, Father's Day. How good is that going to be? Make sure you get your tickets. Are You OK Day is on Thursday the 11th. And of course, PopCon is happening on the 13th at the Gladstone Entertainment Convention Centre as well. That's from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m, so it's an afternoon and evening event this year. And the Gladstone Rotary Club of Gladstone's 75th birthday is happening on the 13th of this month as well. So congratulations, happy birthday to all the Rotarians involved in that club, and of course all the charter clubs that have formed since that. Okay, councillors, the next item on the agenda, that's the Mayor's statement, is the confirmation of minutes from the 19th of August, G2.1. Mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Motion is carried. We'll now move to our deputation from Gladstone Area Promotion Development Limited, and I acknowledge Rob Gibb, the Chairman, is with us here in the gallery, and of course the Acting CEO, Dee Dalton, is online via Teams. So if I can get Rob to the table, and good morning, Dee, and good morning, Rob, and I'll hand over to you. Oh, sorry, and the Deputy Mayor has a conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Morning, Dee. Dee's in Canberra today for the National Tiny Town Awards, Tiny Towns Awards, I should say. where our town of 1770 is a national finalist. So that's quite exciting. Dee is going to obviously present. I'm going to drive. So Dee, I'll hand it over to you.
Fantastic, thank you. Good morning, councillors. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, executive team. Thank you for having us today. Essentially, I wanted to join you today to, I suppose, reinforce GAPDL's role as council's key partner in delivering sustainable tourism and destination promotion for the Gladstone region. We're really keen to re-establish regular engagement between council and GAPDL. And we also want to reaffirm our shared commitment to strategic alignment and destination readiness in the lead up to 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Next slide. So far this year, we can confirm that our KPI targets for this period have been met. So on the screen there, you'll see some key highlights. Our full acquittal report has been provided separately to Christy Marks, the Manager of Economic Development, on the 4th of August of this year. Everything has been delivered on time and on budget, and we're really developing strong relationships across our operators, our accommodation providers, as well as our key partners and key stakeholders across the region as well. Looking ahead, our priorities include driving the GAPDL transformation. So this is a three-part transformation phase. So we're currently in phase 1 of our transformation, and that includes redesigning the team and recruiting roles that are directly aligned to the needs of the organisation and our region. Essentially, this transformation is essential to ensure we remain competitive and responsive to changing consumer demand. As we know, the consumer behaviour is changing all the time. So essentially, we need to position ourselves strongly to set us up for success in the future. Our strategic direction, we're finalising 2 important documents that will guide us moving forward. I'll talk to that more in a couple of slides, but essentially it's our strategic plan, which aligns to the Queensland Government's Destination 2045, as well as TEQ's strategy, and the Gladstone Region Destination Management Plan. So the DMP is informed by 6 key community workshops, surveys, and operator feedback as well, ensuring that it's built on genuine insight. Again, I'll talk more to that in a few slides as well. Partnerships are at the heart of everything we do. We're strengthening relationships with council, industry, operators, and our regional RTO partners as well. So have really strong relationships, particularly with that of Capricorn Enterprise and our friends in Bundaberg Tourism as well. On top of that, we've been actively advocating at state and national levels. Again, down here in Canberra today, we also have representation over in Perth for the Australian Cruise Association, and just last week we had team members down in Moreton Bay for the Quicker Conference, which is for our visitor information centres. There's lots happening, and it's really critical that we're getting out of region and representing our region more broadly, so that's a key focus in terms of partnership and collaboration as well. From a marketing perspective, there is some really exciting campaigns coming up I want to touch on briefly. We really want to be telling the Gladstone region story to bigger audiences. So we're currently participating in TEQ's Australia's Holiday Highway campaign, which is live nationally. And Gladstone region is a highlight in their national video as well. We also are running coming up in September as well, we have a Carrie and Tommy, the national radio program on Hit FM. We're having a play on the words and caravanning in terms of carry. So really targeting our drive market strategy to support that Australia's Holiday Highway campaign. So thinking out of the box, doing things a little bit differently, and having some fun along the way. We've also got Queensland.com's 7-day road trip itinerary as well, which includes the Gladstone region. Again, there's big spend behind that with support of TEQ to really represent our region. We've also secured features in Agnes Water and 1770 on the Great Outdoors on Channel 7, and we're also in discussions with Channel 9 as well around further promotion of the region. In terms of visitor services and experience, we're continuing to evolve in that space. So again, like I touched on before, consumer behaviour is really starting to change. So we're enhancing both frontline services and exploring some digital infrastructure to create accessibility and engagement for our visitors. We're also really focused on volunteer retention and training. We know our volunteers are absolutely critical to what we do. We proudly have around 30 volunteers in Gladstone and around 9 volunteers in our Agnes Water Vic. So we're really prioritising our people in terms of retaining them and training them, upskilling our volunteers, while also exploring new revenue opportunities for our 2 visitor information centres as well. In addition to this, we're also supporting tourism operators we've got a couple of access and inclusion workshops coming up as well. So we've been working with Kate Carmen at DCN to essentially how our operators and accommodation providers can potentially adjust their product or experience to be more inclusive, as well as rolling out the Sunflower program education piece too. From an insights and growth perspective, we're really prioritising again data to drive our next phase of growth. We want to capture data and report to better inform investment and destination planning. So again, leveraging these insights to strengthen our membership value and our funding partnerships, ensuring GAPDL is positioned for long-term success. Our vision, next slide. So we have a bold vision. So by 2035, GAPDL and the Gladstone region will be established as a leading force in Queensland's visitor economy, recognised for bold destination marketing, authentic experiences and collaborative partnerships that drive sustainable growth, community pride and global appeal. This is a really clear vision. It's grounded in strategy and action. And with Council's continued partnership, we're set up for success and positioned to deliver real outcomes for our region, both from increased visitor spend, but job creation and stronger community pride as well, which we've heard loud and clear is really important, particularly ahead of the Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2032. With that in mind, we're in a unique position in that we're less than 7 years away from the Olympic Games, and with events dotted along the east coast of Queensland, we're uniquely positioned to leverage off this from a tourism perspective, both pre and post games. We're already involved in conversations with the Brisbane 32 team, and it's important to note that procurement is opening in October. So we are already having conversations with the right people to position the Gladstone region strongly in the lead up to that space. So that doesn't happen overnight. That needs a few years' work to get the conversations and our experiences ready. In terms of our GAPDL transformation, in June of this year, the Queensland Government released Destination 2045, which is a 20-year strategy to more than double the value of tourism in the state to $84 billion. This plan identified 6 key strategic priorities, and they were ecotourism, events, connectivity, experiences, brand, and industry. In addition to that, Tourism and Events Queensland strategic plan had been refreshed as well and reinstates the state's focus on delivering high value visitation and strong economic returns. Locally, obviously, Council's 25-26 op plan and budget highlighted the role of tourism in shaping a resilient economy and explicitly recognised GAPDL as a key delivery partner for regional visitor economy outcomes. So essentially, to remain fit for purpose and continue to attract investment, we as GAPDL must evolve structurally and strategically to meet the expectation of partners and the demands of modern travellers. Again, I want to emphasise these conversations were already underway before I commenced in this role. This is not me coming in and changing things. I'm really proud that this team design has been co-designed with the team. Essentially, they helped us deliver what this structure looks like as well. So phase 1 is now complete. So essentially our new team structure started yesterday, and obviously there'll be some grace period as we transition to these new roles. So essentially the structure was created to increase capability and create efficiencies, again, proudly co-designed with the team being involved in those conversations. A co-design of a new mission, values and strategic focus, again, including conversations with employees and our volunteers as well. Our volunteers bring so much insight and experience. It's absolutely valued their input. From a strategic plan, we are including, we've created 5 strategic pillars off the back of the Queensland Government's Destination 2045 which I'll talk to in the next slide, and really creating stronger internal culture with an emphasis on delivery, innovation and transparency. So just the past few weeks alone, amongst all of this change that's been happening in terms of roles and responsibilities, the culture has not been stronger. So I'm really, really proud of where the team is at. Phase 2, which is where we currently are, is all around stakeholder engagement. So engagement with partners and members and community. We recently ran a brand perception survey that was shared across community, stakeholders, staff and volunteers, and our funding partners as well. We had really strong response to that, which was fantastic. And some of that, those results have then informed our destination management plan as well. Which is live as of yesterday. And again, I'll talk more to that shortly. In terms of phase 3, what that looks like is a rebrand or a relaunch of who we are and what we do as an organisation. So we're potentially exploring, I suppose, different look and feel of the organisation from a branding perspective, but also repositioning the Gladstone region as well. We've got some work to do in that space, and we know that, but we're ready for the challenge. Essentially, there will be a recommendation that will be taken to the board early to mid next year for endorsement once we've got greater clarity and stakeholder input has been obtained. So as part of that rebrand and relaunch, that's part of our destination management plan activities too. So we'll be seeking more feedback over the next 2 weeks around what that could or should look like from community and our stakeholders. On our next slide, I've just pulled out our key strategic pillars, and this really leads me to our strategy. We haven't chosen these pillars in isolation. They were shaped by state, regional and local priorities. We started with the Queensland Government's Destination 2045, which set the 6 strategic themes for tourism. We then tested these against our local evidence, so evidence that we gathered from our previous Destination Management Plan consultation, which started in November of last year, up until the most recent of March of this year. We've also received feedback again as part of that brand perception survey too. Which really told us where our strengths are, like our authenticity and our natural assets, and where we need to lift visibility and awareness. Internally, we've reviewed our structure and capability gaps, especially around the digital marketing, trade and visitor services spaces. And from all of this, 5 clear priorities emerged for GAPDL. And they are experience, partnerships, ecotourism, brand and people. These pillars will drive us towards our 10-year vision, positioning both GAPDL and the Gladstone region as a leading force in Queensland's visitor economy. It's a framework that really works for where we are right now, but most importantly, it also future-proofs us to attract investment, adapt to change and deliver long-term success for the region. In terms of our DMP, so our strategic documents overview, we've got 2 key publications underway at the moment. So our strategic plan is a 10-year plan that sets the direction of our operations, funding model, structure and regional engagement. It's essentially designed to support the long-term sustainability of the organisation and the success of local tourism operators and accommodation providers. It's been developed through stakeholder input and aligned with Destination 2045 and broader state and national frameworks. We also then have our Gladstone Region Destination Management Plan. It is a place-based strategy focused on the destination itself, its brand positioning, experience development and visitor economy potential. It complements the strategic plan but focuses on strengthening the region's identity, growing demand and increasing visitation and improving regional storytelling, ensuring that the Gladstone region is competitively positioned for both the domestic and international markets ahead of 2032, and will also see us in that legacy stage a couple of years after as well. Our Destination Management Plan engagement began in November of last year and is now nearing finalisation. We have a series of upcoming events to support the final adoption and submission to TEQ. On this slide, you'll see the final engagement dates. The community survey is now live, and we've also launched a supporting campaign action plan to drive communications and encourage participation in these final engagement activities. So we will be down in Agnes Water next week, as well as 2 Gladstone sessions on Wednesday, which happens to be World Tourism Day. I'd like to finish with our proposed new brand promise for the Gladstone region, and that is come curious, live deliberately, leave glad. This brand isn't just words on a slide, it's really an invitation for visitors to uncover our amazing region that we have, but also to connect with the people and the places that make our region unforgettable. There are so many beautiful stories to be told. The people, the operators, who are working non-stop to deliver for our region is absolutely incredible, and we really want to support those operators as well. So with Council's partnership, this brand becomes more than a campaign. It becomes the story that we share with the world and the foundation for sustainable growth for our visitor economy. We really want to make sure that the Gladstone region is not only a great place to visit, but also a place our community is proud to call home. So before we wrap, I also wanted to reaffirm our commitment to the organisation and to Council. And our recent discussions with the economic development team have been great, and we're strongly aligned in supporting them moving forward as well. So thank you, councillors. Rob and I welcome any questions or comments, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dee. I think that's fantastic. What a great report. I love everything you said on there. There's one thing, phase 3, refreshing name and brand identity. That brand promise is great. Refreshing name is something feels like deja vu. So it's obviously a decision for the board to determine the future of a name, but no matter what name you come up with, they'll never remember the acronym. So we've been trying to educate the community on what GAPDL stands for a long time, but it is a strong brand for those who understand it, know it and appreciate it. So I look forward to hearing what your board determine in February next year. But if you go for I think we've had names like Gladstone Enterprise and what were the others, Glenn? There's been a few.
There's been a few, yeah. Too many, far too many.
Yeah.
Keep coming. Oh, sorry. And you're right, Mayor Matt, and we keep coming back to the original one.
And
So
I like
we go
the fish.
all the way around to come back, because the relevance of it, it's not just about Gladstone, it's
Gladstone
about
region.
the whole region and where it stands and the
Gladstone
acronym.
area promotion development. Anyway, I think well done to the team. That's a fantastic report, and GAPDL is obviously kicking goals. Councillor Wagner.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the report. Look, it's great to see that, we're moving forward on it. And I have to say we had a bit of a brainstorm session here last week and came up with some ideas for a name. So I think some of those the marketer in me came out in that. So hopefully we can see how that goes, and that would cover the whole region. I think giving that development's probably not one of the greatest, I suppose, contributors to that now. I think, it probably is good for a reinvention because a lot of people don't know what Gapdal means still. And I think, so I think you're on the right track, and I'd love to see this region really known for its assets, because it has so many more than people realise. And so it's still got a little bit of a stigma from, I suppose, the 60s and 70s, where it was an industrial development area, but our industry is an asset as well, and so our beautiful beaches and fishing and bushland. So well done. Look forward to see how your progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Mayor Matt. Lovely, Dee. Thank you. It's lovely to see a refreshed face there in the leadership role as the CEO. I've got a couple of questions here, and to you too, Rob, as the long-time chair, and we thank you for what you do in making sure that we have that strength, not only just with Gladstone Regional Council, but our operators, our tourism operators around the region, and with Tourism Events Queensland. So this is not all a bed of roses here. I wanted to ask a couple of questions appropriately, and you've touched on the first one already, is the refreshing of the name. So are we talking about, because we've been through so many exercises, as you'd be well aware, but many others would not be aware, to go through understanding where we sit as a destination and where you sit as an organisation, as a regional tourism organisation. And I think I can speak with some level of experience, I suppose, having been the CEO for many years and being on the board for many years, is that in understanding when you start to refresh the name or the destination, we can be inner thinking, but it's what's in the world of the tourism for Queensland, Australia, and the world, especially when we talk about our international visitors, understanding where we sit. So I'll lead to my question. Are you refreshing the name of the organisation because there is a need or a demand for it, or there's a want? Where is it coming from? And I'm very mindful of my good colleagues' comments here a short time ago, but it stood the test of time. It stood the test of time. Or are we starting to talk about refreshing the name of our destination, which Southern Great Barrier Reef took a long time and a lot of money and exercise to get where we sit now in the Southern Great Barrier Reef?
Thanks, Councillor. I think when we think about a rebrand or a refresh, and Mr. Mayor touched on it before about, so many people in our community don't have a clue what GAPDL is or what it does. And I think one of the things in any rebrand or refresh, and you're right in what you say about, the proven acronyms and the like, but I think we need to undertake some very, very extensive consultation in the community around this, because what I think we see is that our community need to take pride in this destination, and they need to have something that resonates with them as well. It may well be JPDL, but it could be something else. But I think, it's time in terms of this transformation and potential rebrand that we took more focus back out into the community and let them have a say in what they want. It's not just about tourism, it's also about livability and attraction and retention of people for business and industry here. So it will be a process for sure.
Okay, well, best wishes. Best wishes. Thank you for that. Have you got a date set for your AGM?
We do indeed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dee, but we've moved it to the 20th of November this year.
20th of November, so those that are here and those that are online listening, 20th of November, opportunity to nominate to be on the board.
Correct. We'll have, I think we have 5 director positions becoming vacant at this AGM.
There you go. There's a good call out, or reach out to those who want to be actively involved, especially our tourism operators, to get a tourism operator that sits on the board of GAPDL as a regional tourism organisation has to be a priority.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because we're actually talking to operators right now. We're actually planning to have the AGM this year in Agnes Water.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I was about to
that's
suggest
terrific.
Neil Murgard might want to put his hand up, Neil, if you're watching.
That's terrific. That's terrific. And I think we've got some potential tourism operators in our gallery today here as well. We'll be showing some interest in what's going on. A couple more, if you wouldn't mind, Mayor Matt. And I'll make this one perhaps a little bit more sharp and succinct. 2018, GAPDL closed the Miriamvale Visitor Information Centre, and I'm well aware that the property is under the auspices of the CEO and the Gladstone Regional Council. But at that particular time, there was a transition, and there was certain levels of feeling in relation to what the future may be. And having been down in Miriamvale more recently, I'm trying to get an understanding, is the Miriamvale Cafe still operating its functions as a visitor information centre, or is it quasi, or do you have plans for that area within our region to get people off the Bruce Highway and get them down into Agnes Water, 1770, Baffle, Captain Creek, and those areas, and the list goes on?
Yeah, great question, Councillor Churchill. We do still have a hub down in Miriam Vale. We also, as part of our team redesign, we identified a gap down there. So we have repurposed one of our Vic officer roles at Agnes Water to not just cover Agnes Water in 1770, but we've deemed it the southern region. So now our 2 visitor information centres are managed by visitor experience managers Northern Region and visitor experience managers Southern Region to ensure we're encompassing the entire region. We are exploring new ways of working within our visitor information centres because that consumer behaviour is changing, and it is changing rapidly. So there have been many conversations with our team and volunteers around how that could look, and potentially exploring digital infrastructure as well to complement those existing visitor information centres. So in terms of visibility of that Miriam Vale Vic, absolutely, it's right on a busy highway. However, with our new direction, we have strong emphasis on our drive market across digital channels, but also partnering with TEQ and other co-op opportunities as well. So I agree there's a lot of space to be done. There is a lot of space to improve, but that is at the forefront of our minds, and we're absolutely getting there. So we are very aware of, from a visitor experience perspective, that drive market through Miriam Vale, but also out into the Boyne Valley as well. And that's a key piece of this team redesign, is getting out across the entire region and not being so Gladstone centric. So even from a marketing perspective, and hopefully I've shown it in the presentation today, not just showing the beach images, but also the ranges as well. It's all inclusive of our entire Gladstone region.
Yeah, terrific. Thanks, Dee. I do appreciate that, and I get an understanding. Well, best wishes with that as well. My last one relates to your destination management plan. And when we talk about branding, or we talk about the history of where we've been with the destination management plans, rather than go into the intricacies of it, I would just simply ask this question up front, and there is a lot of background to this. This is about potential developments. This is about potential tourism operators coming into the market. So in times gone by, just a brief history was that GAPDL was the regional tourism organisation, the regional economic development organisation, community service. There was a whole range of raft of things. I think there was about 5 portfolios that sat within it. I'd just like to understand, and I'm sure my colleagues would as well, and officers and the general public, will your future, and you've got in your presentation, your future destination management plan also have in it proposed, maybe blue sky, because we refer to the Pacificus or the Hummock Hill Island development that goes around and around, and it's been into this boardroom in recent times. I'd just like to get an understanding if, will it also insert in there proposed or blue sky economic development resorts, communities, and new nature-based or tourism potential developments that sit with under planning and development from a Gladstone Regional Council perspective?
That's a great question again, Councillor Churchill. That's something I would need to come back to you on. I think it's really important when we're working alongside the economic development team, but also from the planning and development team, development services. I really want to ensure that what we're committing to community is actually achievable. I certainly wouldn't want to be setting anyone up for error. So that's something I need to seek some more clarity on, exactly how we word that to make sure it is fit for purpose for both council, but for us as an organisation as well. What I will include is, as part of our DMP, there are obviously, as we know, our region is very dispersed. There are lots of exciting things to do across the region, and essentially within the DMP, what I'm looking at is potentially exploring the different precincts, I suppose, within, for lack of a better word, within the region. So from a tourism perspective, we know that the demographics and the behaviour that we see in Agnes Water 1770 is significantly different to Gladstone and surrounds and Boyne Tannum, etc. So underneath this DMP, or perhaps even within this DMP, depending what that community and stakeholder engagement feedback is, would then be underpinned by these clearer action plans within the different precincts of the region as well, because there are points of differentiation across the region that we need to really leverage to target specific visitors as well.
Okay, no, thank you for that, Dee. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Rob. I like your two words, actually achievable, but I think we'll come back and debate and discuss that at a later time as you develop your DMP. But best wishes. And you're looking quite relaxed down there in a cold Canberra.
Mm-hmm.
It is very chilly, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get back here to the sunshine. Thank you.
So before we wrap up, I've got another question on, I think Councillor Churchill has touched on it then. So sorry, Southern Great Barrier Reef, did you go into that at all? We're still partnering with our neighbours on GSBR?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
In February this year, after a lot of work, a lot of discussion, our board began to see that it really was not the right time.
Not merging. I meant like we're still working as
sorry.
a group of neighbours.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that remains strong.
Oh, good. Whew. I was like, what?
Sorry, I thought we were going
No.
back to the
I don't want to
past.
go. I don't want to bring that back up. I didn't mention the war. No, just the branding was really something very. So we're still working with Bundy and Capricorn on that.
Absolutely.
And just on that, Mr. Mayor, we had a really great planning session around a month ago held in Agnes Water with Bundaberg Tourism and Capricorn Enterprise, where we all got together and outworked what that SGBR looks like moving forward. And we're all absolutely aligned and really clear on our positions within that trade market perspective as well. So very, very confident in that space.
Awesome. All right. So whatever branding happens, changes or names potentially, GAPDL trading as something, if you don't want to lose GAPDL, just saying. Just putting that out there. You'll continue with GS, Great Southern Great Barrier Reef as well. Yeah, it's amazing. Best part of the reef. Righto. Councillors, any further questions? No?
No.
Thank
absolutely.
you. We'll
I'm happy to move that unless you've got any other questions.
No, I already asked that and they
Oh,
said
yeah,
no.
I'm happy, very happy and pleased to move that the deputation today from GAPDL is well and truly received. Thank you.
Thank you. Seconded, please. Thank you, Councillor McClintock. All in favour? Motion's
I'm
carried.
sure we're going to have more dialogue though, Rob.
We want that.
Yeah,
Excellent.
good. Yeah, good.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Dee. Good
Thank
luck
you.
to 1770 tomorrow. How cool. All right, we'll get the Deputy Mayor back in. All right, thank you, councillors. Next item on the agenda is G4.1, which is a DA 29/2019 Infrastructure Charges Rebate Scheme Policy, 1086 Coast Road, Baffle Creek, and I'll hand over the General Manager of Customer Experience, Kimberly Wilson, and welcome Helen Robertson to the table as well. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, councillors. Okay, this morning, the purpose of this paper is to allow council to consider a request from Zone Planning on behalf of the owners, Mr. Kent Bowden and Mrs. Catherine Dupé Bowden, to apply the Infrastructure Charge Rebate Scheme policy to a nature-based tourism approval located at 1086 Coast Road, Baffle Creek. Due to this development being outside the priority infrastructure area, it is outside officers' delegation to approve. I'll take the report as read and welcome any questions.
Thank you. Questions, councillors? Councillor Wagner.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks for a comprehensive report. I suppose the question for me is that the applicants have now complied with all but the one is just that it's outside the priority infrastructure area. So I'm wondering whether or not, have we got it right, our priority infrastructure area? And two, have we approved any other applications that lie outside it, given that our southern part of the region, there are some, I suppose, quirks and real opportunities for nature-based tourism.
Yeah, I'll answer the second part of that question, Councillor Wagner. We've approved 3 in total, I believe, since 2018 when the rebate was applied that outside the priority infrastructure area. As for the priority infrastructure area itself,
that's part of the LGIP discussions, the Local Government Infrastructure Plan discussions. We are bringing that back to you in the near future as part of the planning scheme review work that's currently undertaken. But effectively, the priority infrastructure it sets the boundary as to where we intend the life of the scheme, the life of the planning scheme will require infrastructure to be provided. So it's a very important piece of the puzzle in that the cost of where that infrastructure goes then gets calculated into the infrastructure charges that we charge. So where that is, the further it's out, the more expensive it's going to be effectively. So those conversations are happening at the moment, and it will come back to you as part of the planning scheme review process and the local government infrastructure plan review process.
So at the moment, do you think that that area would become part of that?
No, I don't.
And if not, why not?
Another thing that's going to come back to you is the way this policy is administered. We're looking at that as well. So I think the flexibility is really in the policy that we apply for a rebate on infrastructure charges and not really in relation to our infrastructure provision. That's a very, very important piece that sits within the planning scheme.
Well, I think given they've complied, and I mean, it's a really great, I suppose they're providing a really good service down in that area where there is a lot of demand, particularly in peak seasons, and there's some restrictions on some others in that area. I'd like to move that we go for the 50% rebate as we have done for others.
Thank you, Councillor Wagner. I do have a lot of councillors lining up to speak, but I'll take a seconder for that first, please. Okay, I might hold that. Don't need a seconder just yet. I'll, as a chair, I'm going to take the questions first, and we'll come back to getting a seconder. Councillor Muscat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to also, I guess, as the paper presents, there's been a long process, a long history in relation to this development and the space. I understand that it's outside the priority infrastructure area, which is something that we have discussed, and in a way, a nature-based development kind of it will by default be outside a priority infrastructure area. So that's why it's definitely I take on some of the comments before. Like we do need to review the policy. The policy was always put in place with the best intentions to make sure that we can encourage certain types of developments to happen. So, but obviously policies aren't perfect and they don't work for every single case. So that's why we have the option of bringing it here and then, make different decisions. So I understand it's outside of the priority infrastructure area. In the past, we have agreed to still provide the 50%. So I will be very happy to do that today again. However, I also note that the development is of very low impact in a way. They have no services, and they do provide something that is unaccounted for, which is that community benefit, as explained by the applicant. And I have had meetings with the applicant before and our planning department, and they have put a lot of work in making sure that everything that we have asked to do, it's done, to the best of their abilities. I voted against this rebate a few years ago, and I am very satisfied I'm satisfied as to where we got today. So I definitely think that at least there should be a 50% rebate. I would like to apply that, but I will also like to go further and provide accept the option 3, which is what the applicant is requesting. I say that because there has been some sort of delays and sort of miscommunication in there too, And we don't necessarily have in our planning scheme something that defines this type of development. So, which we are looking at changing in the planning scheme going forward through our review. And that is not to say that our planning scheme isn't good. It's just that sometimes new types of developments come up. There's different things that we need to assess, or things change. So the same way as, for example, wiki comes, or different types of developments and arrangements for people doing business or doing residential or doing different things. It's not as simple as it sounds sometimes. And so I commend the applicant for actually understanding that there's certain impact in our infrastructure, and I thank them for putting that offer to us to be able to accept a contribution from them if we help them also get through this situation and continue to be able to operate in a place where I think it needs to continue to operate, also providing the community benefits of this site and development. So I don't know if I'm able to move something or not really.
I have a mover, and I have other councillors.
That's right. Okay, so I guess I'm just saying that I'm supporting option 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron, then Councillor Holsheimer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. To be clear, Deputy Mayor, are you wanting to move, when you do get the chance, that the infrastructure charge to be reduced down to $7,500? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, which is, okay. Option 3, yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up. Look, I can remember when this was brought to the previous council some time ago, and it clearly started as a very modest operation which morphed into something more substantial, whereby it became non-compliant with our infrastructure, not the infrastructure, but our planning scheme. And there was 2 options. The option was to either apply for a development application, material change of use, to make it compliant so it can run. The other option was that it had to close the facility down. It was very, very loud and clear from the community. They did not want this operation closed down because it was a great benefit to the community. I also noticed, reading through the notes, I did not know this, that in the past the facility has been offered up for use by our emergency services people in the times of disaster, such as bushfires and floods, which offers respite and accommodation to those frontline workers when needed. So that's something that should be acknowledged, and not only acknowledged, I think it should be rewarded as well. So in that case, I'm in line with Deputy Mayor that when we get the chance to move that, I would move that that option 3. Is that what we're looking at? Yeah, that's the way I would consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Holsheimer.
I think this was one of those interesting ones that I really had to dig deep on as well, because I understand the parameters of the planning scheme and your role is to implement the planning scheme or to execute the planning scheme, however you want to frame that. Yep. And I think that this follows all of that. However, our role as councillors and the beauty of this coming to us is that we can consider all of those other aspects as well when we look at the need for livability within the community, the support that they do offer through the SES and that support in natural disaster. So that's really beneficial to the wider community. If we look at our economic development strategies and the need to support the southern part of the region as well to provide more opportunities for tourism and that sort of thing, I think that this is a really valuable investment and opportunity for the community as well. So for me, it was a minimum of the 50%. However, I'm also happy and was leaning more towards the option 3 as well for this one. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Then McClintock.
Oh, right, okay, thank you. Yeah, no, terrific, thanks very much. I thought I was before Simon, but anyway, no,
No,
happy to go.
You
I
are
think
before Simon.
well, my question is more a governance matter as well. And in actual fact, option 4 doesn't sit there before me at this particular stage, because I'd love to be able to give 100% to these types of developments. But all that said, we're guided by policy, and I think that's where Councillor Holzheimer is coming from. I'm happy to go on the journey, but I'm not supportive of option 1. But at the same time, you're delivering a recommendation to us here, which is really interesting. This is the change of dynamics of the Local Government Act, or is it a changing of the process of providing recommendations to us? Because, and help me here, perhaps through you, Madam CEO, because I was always of the belief that if there was a recommendation made by our officers based on law, based on policy, based on procedure, based on all the aspects, that there has to be a compliance in that process. If we go outside the parameters, and I've been around this table and other tables long enough to understand how you step outside the parameters to make things happen. But if we step out of the parameters of option 1, which is your leading recommendation that sits and that everybody can view, we have to have a justification. We have to have a legal, or I'll take that word back. We have to have a justification for being able to not support the officer's recommendation. But I see more and more in recent times, we now have, it's a recommendation, but well, we could soften that, and we have another recommendation, and we have another option, and we have another option. So I just need to understand, or if you can give me some advice legally, perhaps our manager for governance and everything else might be able to help me with this particular point, because I don't have option 4 there. So
I'm happy to have a go, Mr. Mayor. You're correct. Officers always have to make recommendations in line with policy that councils have set. But as councillors, you also have the right to make alternative decisions. And yes, you would need to provide a reason, but there's no criteria around whether that's a super good reason or an ordinary reason. It's just a reason. So it's just in terms of transparency, so people can look back and understand why a decision was made. So it's absolutely within your rights to make an alternative decision. And officers will always recommend in accordance with policy, and we can always review policy at any time if you feel there are outcomes not being supported as intended by the policy as well.
okay then, so appropriate. And does that have to appear in the final resolution through you, Mr. Chair?
Yeah,
because yeah, whatever it may be, because it's a good thing. That's a good reason, but that probably won't stand up in a planning and development court, would it?
This wouldn't go to court.
No, you good thing. Go, you good thing. But anyway, all right.
This is a policy.
All right.
This isn't the planning scheme.
I'll let Councillor McClintock take come in and mop up a little bit now.
And I've got suggested words that might be able to help
All right.
address what Councillor Wagner's original motion was.
But I'm sure you understand exactly where I'm coming from when we have open governance and accountability to our decision at the end of the day, especially at a later time. Thank you.
Councillor McClintock.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Churchill, I think. My questions, when we talk about policy, and particularly these infrastructure charges, development application charges, all those things, the intent is not for council to make money out of operators, and fully aware of that. And in fact, it's very, very often it is the other way. This is an expense to our community. And so these charges are a way of that being reimbursed in a way to our ratepayers. So I just want to, all of that said, I'm not necessarily against anything that's been said here at all. I do want to understand, have there been, you mentioned 3 other approvals. Is that 3 other approvals total, or is that 3 other approvals we've given a rebate to? Just want a little bit of clarity on that statement that you made.
Right, you go if you don't mind. There's been 10 out of policy decisions, so 10 times we've brought something to the boardroom for council's consideration, and 3 of those have been nature-based tourism developments.
And outside of the PIA.
Okay, so my next follow-up to that is, I haven't seen a whole heap of nature-based tourism applications. How many applications do we get in this frame? I guess where I'm going with that question is, the main concern in the back of my head is who has been through this process, paid full price, and are going to then be asking questions, or there's going to be a hard to justify why they had to pay full price and this one isn't. So just want to make sure that we haven't, who's
We
paid full
looked at that
price, I
this
guess.
morning, there was 9 of them, and I think 2 had received a rebate, which would mean there was 7 that have had the infrastructure charges applied. I haven't checked it whether they've been paid, but they are due, they're payable.
Oh, sorry, that's not nature-based.
Out of the
Yep.
whole, yeah, those are the nature-based ones.
Not all of them came here,
Oh, okay. I
so
was gonna
that's just
say-
applications.
I think I'd remember that.
No.
Just applications.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes, just applications.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, can we let someone finish first and I'll come back to you?
Yeah, just wanting to quantify it all. So now when we, obviously, each of those have different scenarios, and we're going to unpack
Yep,
why some of them have and
size-wise,
some of them
yep,
haven't. And
yes.
I'm not saying that. I'm just wanting to make sure we've set up a precedent here. Sorry, one moment. I guess my other question out of that is the reason we speak about rebates and the reason that we've got some of this tension around particularly nature-based tourism is an acknowledgement that it doesn't have as big an infrastructure impact as what something perhaps on our sewage system or our water system, those sorts of things. Can you just give us a little bit of context to what infrastructure impact this would have so that we can quantify, I guess, even mentally, what is it that this is impacting so that when we're considering why we are charging them for this in the first place?
It's really a bigger question in terms of the infrastructure charging policy. So effectively, the calculation is based on the overall network. So that the LGIP sets, this is our local government infrastructure plan, this is what the network's going to look like, and to deliver that, it's going to cost this much for water, sewer and roads. The infrastructure policy actually works out a calculation based on the likely usage of a particular use type, in this case the nature-based tourism, and there's an EP charge, and that's what the calculation works out to. So it's not, there's still a rate that's applicable. It's not that individual for every single site. So the policy actually sets the rate for the use types. And there's work that can be done in that space. So there's amendments that can be made to the policy to make it more flexible. The intent of the policy is about attracting certain types of development. So you're looking more at the use type. And then when you look at the actual infrastructure charge policy, it's about have we got the charging rate right for that particular use type as well. So those things need to work in tandem, and that's some of the work we're doing at the moment.
That's a great explanation. Can you confirm that charge then that's applied to nature-based, does it incorporate wastewater and sewerage as part of that rating
Yes,
process?
yes.
Great. All right, thank you. That's all I need to know.
Thank you. I've gone back through the minutes of the previous council decisions, and in particular the ones on Round Hill Road. Can you advise me I'm sorry, Helen, you might have to get your memory out here, or we might have to take a break and come back. The nature-based tourism approved in 2018, was that 50%? And if not that one, the nature-based on Round Hill Road approved in 2019 was for 13,500 was the rebate given to council. Both were outside the PIA. So my initial thought was if it's outside the PIA, it doesn't qualify. However, nature-based applications will often be outside the PIA,
Correct.
so I get that.
Yep.
So that's why we've given discounts in the past. I'm on the same line as Councillor McClintock. If we're going to if we've done 50% twice, then I think that's the precedent we've set, and that's what we should do, which is why I'd be happy to support Councillor Wagner's motion, and I'll second it, at least to get it on the table so it gets voted on. But do you know off the top of your head, were they 50%, those?
Yes.
They were. That's
Yep.
what I thought. Well, I'm happy to second your motion. Councillor Wagner, back to you.
Yeah, look, it's not that I disagree with a further reduction because these people are, I suppose, are offering something that is really valuable in that community. I'm with you, Mr Mayor, in that if we have a precedent set, then, and I read in the report too that the basis for the figure that was offered, there doesn't appear to be some sort of science or justification behind it. I would have liked to have seen some sort of measure because that would give me a really good basis to do it. My fear is, and while I'd love to do it, My fear is that once we do this, do we open up a can of worms for everyone else that wants to do a nature base? Is it fair on the ones that we've already approved reductions or full amount in the past? And I suppose in the back of my mind too, if this is an anomaly, are we better off to address the anomaly and then revisit this so there is a basis for us to be able to do it? I'm really worried that it's not that I don't want to give them a further rebate, but I'm just having a really hard time, I suppose, supporting that without some sort of real basis. I feel as though, have we got something not quite right? And I'd like that, in terms of should we be providing that, looking at that sooner so we can actually make these decisions based on something.
Well, my thought is I don't think we've got the PIA wrong. I think we've got that right. That's absolutely 100%. I'm sure we have that right. But projects like this are not going to be in the PIA, and we want projects like this. That's why we've approved 2 before, and we've approved 2 outside the PIA area and given them a 50% reduction, which if we're going to do it for 2, then doing it for a third is not unreasonable. And that gives you your justification that Councillor Churchill was talking about as to why you've gone against the officer's recommendation is because you've done it previously twice and it's the same amount. Otherwise, if it's more than that, it seems to be favouring one more than the previous 2. And then they would have rights to come back and say, well, hang on, why do we only get 50%? So I think I think that's what they originally asked for, and that was brought here in the year 2020, I think it was. It's a little while ago. Is that what it was? And we said no, and Councillor Cameron was with us, and Councillor Hanson voted to move the motion, I think, that we refuse it. I've been back through all the minutes, and I think we said no for good reason at the time. They were not compliant. They're compliant now. The 50% is fair from what we've given others, and that's what they originally asked for. And they've done the right thing and got their business compliant. Councillor Holzheimer, question, and I think I might put the motion.
So it's the responsibility of the applicant to ask for a discounted rate. So if those that weren't given the discount, we would assume that they have not asked for that. So that's why it hasn't actually been offered. So that's actually not the responsibility of the boardroom because they actually didn't make that decision. That was the applicant's decision not to request that.
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Councillor Wagner has moved the recommendation. I've seconded it. I can put the motion, but if people want more, I just want to put the reason being, and Councillor Wagner I'll come to you next. The reason being would be why you're going against the officer's recommendation, and correct me if I'm wrong, based on previous decisions and the low impact on council's infrastructure would be the reasoning why you would be going against the officer's recommendation. Councillor Wagner, is that what you would believe? Thank you, Councillor.
Yes, thank you.
Muscat.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. The reason why I still support option 3, it's because we have, in the last at least 12 months, identified that we can actually do better with infrastructure charges categories. And this is one of those examples that will reflect that. So that's why I continue to support option 3, because we have identified these as some of those changes that we are potentially going to be making.
Any further questions or comments? We have a recommendation that we reject the officer's recommendation and we approve a 50% reduction based on the previous decisions made by council and the low impact on council's infrastructure. It's moved by Councillor Wagner and seconded by myself. All in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Thank you. Well, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you, Helen. Move to the next item on the agenda, which is Garden Organics Processing. G 4.2, Acting General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Kim Markson. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, and good morning. I'm also joined today by Chris Irving, our Waste Strategic Lead. So Council will introduce a garden organics collection service from 1 July 2026. The material generated through the service will need to be processed either by Council or by an external provider. In this report, officers are recommending we test the commercial market for processing solutions. Because processing solutions and innovations may vary widely, an EOI or expression of interest is recommended as the best way to understand market interest and options before committing to a tender. The objective is to avoid landfill, create usable products, and identify long-term processing solutions that are beneficial to our region. In preparing this recommendation, officers did consider several options and the benefits and risks of each, including formal tender and panel contract. An EOI is recommended because it captures full market information without commitment. It encourages innovative region-relevant solutions, and it provides flexibility and collaboration with industry. Whilst there is a risk of delaying tender if no EOIs are received, a contingency plan exists in which council can self-process until another solution is found. As such, the commencement of the service would not be delayed. In summary, today's report seeks resolution from council to invite expressions of interest before considering whether to invite written tenders in relation to the processing of garden organics generated by council's future garden organic service. And I welcome any questions.
Thank you. There's going to be a few. Let's start with Councillor Holsummer, Councillor McClintock and Councillor Churchill.
Surprise, surprise. I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation.
All right.
Super excited. Let's get this happening. And yeah.
Councillor Wagner, are you seconding that, or did you want to speak as well?
I'm happy to second it.
Yep.
Because an EOI still doesn't tie us in. It just lets us know what our options are.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have a mover and a seconder. And Councillor McClintock, did you want to speak to it as well?
Yeah, no, happy with that. I think my only question was around the timing. We notoriously get caught up in EOIs, tenders, how all those things roll out.
Mm-hmm.
Are we confident that we can get through all of these EOI? What does that process look like? I'd hate for us to go out and then push our timelines out.
As I say, there is a risk that if we go out with expression of interest, we are delaying tender if there is no response received. However, we do have a contingency, so there is no risk to the service commencing and that timeline. It is also in our best interests to find a solution. So this is a priority piece of work, and the team have it prioritised as such.
Councillor Churchill does no longer need to comment.
I was only going to really say, great idea, go.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Councillor Cameron.
Yeah, look, just a comment. I think it's a great strategy. We don't even know that these services exist. If we go out there with an EIA, it might create a service that we can provide for when we eventually get to tender. So it's a great strategy. Thank you.
Here. Moved Councillor Councillor Holsummer, seconded Councillor Wagner. All in favour? Carried. I can call the division if you like. Yeah, a division called. All in favour? Those against? Thank you. The motion is carried unanimously, obviously with the absence of two councillors being an apology. Thank you. You'll get the names. Thank you. Excellent. Oh, thanks. It's gone, Chris. G 4.3. Hang around, Kim. He's got a lot of work to do. G 4.3, review of the risk management policy. Back to you, Kim.
As part of Council's commitment to continuous improvement, governance and community value, a scheduled review of our risk management policy was recently undertaken with councillors. This report presents the result of that work, a revised risk management policy including an updated risk appetite statement and new risk tolerances. The objective of the policy is to strengthen our risk maturity and strategic decision making and build organisational resilience. Updates include a refreshed risk appetite statement reflecting Council's current position, defined risk tolerances for clearer operational guidance, and stronger alignment with best practice frameworks. This policy will also inform development of the upcoming corporate plan, ensuring clarity and consistency. Adopting the updated policy today will help us continue to effectively manage risk, reduce the impact of adverse events, realise opportunities, improve performance, and ultimately deliver value to our community. Welcome any questions.
Move Councillor Churchill.
At the risk of delaying it, I'm happy to move it.
Second, Councillor Cameron. Deputy Mayor, you have a question?
No, I was just putting it to second.
Okay. Councillor Wagner, you have a question? Yes.
Yeah, can you just give us in a summary, what are the changes?
Tanya, I might pass over to you on that one. Essentially, our risk appetite in all areas did change, and Tanya can summarise.
So what we've done with this policy essentially is, aside from council's levels of risk appetite changing, and there has overall, I guess, been an increase in council's risk appetite, but what we've done in the policy is we've had some more, I guess, in-depth risk appetite statements to provide more guidance to the business. So our current policy is just very much, we say we've got a minimal rating of health, safety and wellbeing, but there's very little guidance to the business to understand what that means. So through the more comprehensive risk appetite statements, as well as risk tolerances, which really set the guardrails around risk appetite, it becomes a more, I guess, living document that our staff can live into and make better decisions, not just at the boardroom, but across the entire organisation.
Excellent. So it's like a maturity.
It is, yes.
Maturation.
It is.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yes. Councillor McClintock, you had a question?
Yes, we've had quite extensive conversations around this, and this came out of many conversations around this table. So it's nothing new to anyone here. I guess my only question from this was, it's all well and good for us to set a whole heap of plans and documents and strategies, and they look great, so long as they're applied. Can you just give us a little bit of context as to how this is applied in our procedures across our business, so that it helps actually guide what's going on within the business, not just as a document on a shelf?
Yeah, this one in particular is really embedded across all of our day-to-day operations. So your risk appetite is then translated into risk assessments that we do, reports that we present into our systems and our software to make sure that our people are consistently considering your level of risk in the day-to-day decisions that we make. So risk, potentially more so than many other things, are really widely embedded across the organisation.
I think risk is an interesting world to sort of explore, I guess, and in many ways risk is the reason we don't do things a lot of the time. And so an increased risk appetite is an increased appetite to progress and to hopefully take on some of those, yes, risks, but not necessarily a desire for injury or discomfort, all those things that come with it. So I think this is a really great one and very, very supportive of it. Thank you very much for all the work that's gone into it. Much clearer than the previous document.
Councillor McClintock, if I could just add there, the policy is really just the cornerstone of our risk management framework. So we have a corporate standard that sits under this that sets out actually the way we assess risk across council to make sure it's consistent. We also have our tools like Beacon, where we contain our risk register and do risk assessments and things like that. So as part of the implementation of this policy, we will then outwork it across the corporate standard and the tools to make sure that everything is in line.
Yeah, I can imagine it can be very frustrating when you're trying to work within a policy that we are actually have a different appetite for. So this is more of an alignment of where we have been operating or desire to operate as a room. And hopefully that is the dream, that it will empower people to work more efficiently and effectively and not be restrained by things that we ourselves don't really agree with. Well done. Thank you.
You brought me along the journey. I was quite happy with where we were. You've done a very good job, Kim. I don't know whether it's all the lots of context in the words, what we will tolerate, what we won't tolerate, where the opportunities are. I don't know if they're there for my benefit because you knew I didn't want to budge. But I think I'm really happy with what you've come up with, and I think that was hard to say.
Well done.
I'd like to commend you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Going with it.
Yes.
We can't have innovate on our statement and not have risk attached as well.
Yeah. I know. I like to innovate, but there's ways you can do it carefully. Anyway, it's moved by Councillor Churchill, and I think, was it seconded Councillor Wagner? Councillor Cameron, sorry, it was too. Thank you. No further comments or questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour? You got me. Carried. Yeah. You can tell from the GAPDL comments, I'm not a big fan of change all the time. If you'd like to come back to the table, we would like to move one of our meetings to Baroran, and I'd like your advice on that, please. G4.4, regional meeting Baroran, 7th of October. Hand over to you, Kim.
Thank you. This report recommends taking one of our meetings to the regional area of Baroran, connecting with our community in our broader regional areas.
Here. Thank you. Move Councillor McClintock, seconded Councillor Holzheimer. I don't think there's any more comments or questions about this. All in favour? That is carried. Now you just. Thanks, Kim. Councillor reports. Do we have any councillor reports? No? Hang on. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I didn't submit a written one, but just a quick one. Had the fortunate opportunity to officially open Bina Van Haften's art exhibition down at the Art Gallery on Saturday morning, and I suppose from my perspective is another great example of a regional artist rising to the next level now. And then it's called Biophilia. I'll pass it around. Bina Van Haften, and it's a great collection of artworks that range from textiles to sculptures to installation works and a whole range of things. A leaf is a leaf is a leaf. I think that's what Bina gave it as a sort of a testament of understanding what biophilia means, which is about loving life and close to nature and valuing life as well. But can I just make a quick point in relation to Bina? And you would all be well aware of Bina's works, and like other artists, they all aspire to get to the next level. And it's good that our Gladstone Region Art Gallery Museum and our crew down there are being proactive to ensure, it's got to be about quality and there's certain levels of assessment, but it's great to be able to get our own regional artists putting on their exhibitions, because it gives them great experience to understand the curatorship that's required in putting on a worthy exhibition. And Bina's been very successful with other art awards, including the 1770 art show as well, and has now recently just completed an artist in residence in India, and as a result of that, her exhibitions are now broadening beyond the Gladstone region into Australia, and I don't know whether it's a scoop or not, but has now been invited to do an exhibition in New Delhi. So which is great to see, taking it from a local level to the next level, regional, national, and now I suppose international. So. But anyway, we wish Bina well. But it was a great roll-up of lovely people, not only just from the Agnes Water, Captain Creek area, but from right around the region. It was a great gathering. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to, I know you, Mr. Mayor, already mentioned it, but congratulate the Women's Health Centre again on their Health and Wellbeing Day on Saturday. It was great to see so many people and services together, and it was a great day at the Phillip Street precinct. So, and another thing I wanted to mention was that we had advocacy time in Parliament in Brisbane with the CQ Rock with Mr. Mayor, and just wanted to thank the Mayor for all the work that he does, running around talking to all these ministers on behalf of the Gladstone region and Central Queensland.
Thank you. We had a fantastic hearing from both sides of the House, and it shows the esteem they hold Central Queensland in, because they all turned up, from the Premier right through to the crossbench. It was fantastic. Thank you. Councillor Wagner.
I just want to raise a couple of things. One is I just wanted to congratulate two of our Tannum Sands High School students, which is Jacob Hoger and Braden Andrews, who have the first pair to go back-to-back and win the under-18 school championships for bowls. So they have to have one member and a non-member. Braden's the non-member. I think he plays football other than bowls. And they went back and played against some big names, and they've won back-to-back. It was pretty close. And also Jacob, who's only been playing a couple of years, has been selected in the 2025 Australian Under-18 team, and he will be playing, in the Queensland. He'll be playing in the Australian Championships at Tasmania. I think it's October. The second one was the Community Grants Program. Thank you to our staff who have been going out and speaking to the community. And I had the pleasure with Councillor Cameron the other day of attending the Boyne Island one when we had a couple of people there. It was a football night, so it was a bit challenging, I suppose, with numbers. But some really good questions came on that. So I think, that'll continually evolve and develop our program. So thank you to our staff who put on a really great evening. And also, I'd like to sort of just raise that if we can get some feedback from transport operators that use washdown facilities around central Queensland. I'm part of the Capricorn Pest Management Group on my role as a councillor. I'm on that group, and we're looking at, where the next washdown facility might be, given biosecurity is sort of heightened at the moment. So if we've got any transport operators that would like to share their experiences, I'd be really keen to hear about that too. Thank you.
Okay. No further councillor reports? Oh, sorry, Councillor Cameron, thank you.
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. Last Wednesday, Councillor Churchill and I took a visit out to the new Angus Water Car Park construction site to have a bit of a look out there. I do have a couple of pickies I might share to you if someone shows me how to do it. No, go away. But construction is well underway. But if you really wanted to see a lousy building site, it's terrible.
Wow.
It's got more engineering problems than any site I've ever seen. And they do have some issues. They know all about it and they're dealing with it, and it's all a part of the plan. As far as progress is concerned, they're having major hold-ups with supply, and in particular things like precast concrete components and things like that, where at the time of order, when they go out to source, they said, oh, look, it's a 4-week turnaround, and when they place the order, oops, sorry, it's just moved out to 16 weeks. And this is a procurement problem, and one that I addressed in previous council, that I think as a part of your tendering system, if you're going to have projects like that have specific known components that are in that we should look at splitting the tender in those areas where council can procure those components that they know that they need, take supply of them, then take them out to site when they're needed. If they go out to site free of freight, they don't have to include that in the tender. The other side of that is too that will make their tender cheaper. Overall, margins are set by percentages, which could give us a cheaper tender result. So I would urge our procurement people to look at that again, because it's not just precast concrete components, it's several things out there that are causing major hold-ups. And, once these sites blow out in time, one thing that doesn't stop is the overheads of running a business, and this is where they can fall into trouble. So just food for thought for our procurement team.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Cameron. No further councillor reports. No urgent business, no notices of motion, and no confidential items. Declare the meeting closed, unless there is. No? Okay. Declare the meeting closed at 10:25 a.m. Thank you.